No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, a special Tuesday night edition of Dynamite. There is a lot to discuss. We also had NXT, but I did not see NXT. I know that there were some Raw and SmackDown superstars on NXT, but we'll see what happens with Halloween Havoc coming up this Saturday night. For now, let's get to Dynamite. We kicked off the show with a Trios Championship match. Death Triangle going up against Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. Death Triangle had the early momentum. All three of them did dives to the outside of the ring, and it went back and forth after the commercial break. You had Orange Cassidy being triple teamed by the Death Triangle, but the Best Friends broke up the pin, and then the Best Friends made a comeback, hit some pile drivers, and then you had the Best Friends hoisting up Orange Cassidy, and he came down with a splash onto Penta, but Pac broke up the pin, and then Pac was going for a hammer, which has been his shtick over the past few weeks, going for the hammer to use it as a weapon. However, Phoenix had words with him, took the hammer away. Match continued. Best Friends hit the strong zero to Penta, but Phoenix broke up the pin. And then Phoenix took out the Best Friends with a double cutter. And then Phoenix finished off Trent to score the 1-2-3 victory. They did it the right way. Death Triangle, still your AEW Trios Tag Team Champions. Very good match here to start off the show. I like Death Triangle picking up a win here to retain the titles. Lots of fun with these guys, as you would expect. Strong opener. And we had a video package for Jon Moxley and Adam Page, the main event of AEW Dynamite in Cincinnati, Jon Moxley's hometown. Backstage, we had Britt Baker cutting a promo talking about the interim title. And that led up to the interim women's champion, Toni Storm, going up against Hikaru Shida. This was not at 9:25, 9:30, but rather around 8:25, 8:30. Doing it earlier for once. Good match here with the ladies. Storm sent Shida to the outside of the ring with the hip attack. Shida started to build up some momentum after the commercial break. She hit a missile drop kick off the top. The two of them traded blows. Shida then got multiple near falls on Storm, but eventually Storm was able to hit the tornado DDT, hit the Storm Zero, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory to remain the interim women's champion. And then after the match, you had Jamie Hayter and Rebel coming down to attack Toni Storm and Shida. Britt Baker then showed up with a Pittsburgh jersey. And then Saraya ran down to attack Britt Baker. Rebel had a crutch, and that's when Riho made her first appearance in a while. She ran down and made the save. So yeah, we're seeing things heating up in the women's division in AEW. Like I said, good match. Riho's back. Crowd loves her. And this was good stuff. Saraya continues to get physical with Britt Baker. Seemingly there will be a match between them, I would think, at Full Gear. We had Renee Paquette interviewing FTR. FTR talked about how 2022 has been a good starting point for them. They have all these different titles AAA titles, Ring of Honor titles, so on and so forth. But they also have targets on their backs. However, they still want the AEW tag team titles. And then they were interrupted by Swerve in Our Glory. They want to be the tag team champions, and a match was set up for next week. FTR versus Swerve in Our Glory. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Winning team will become the #1 contenders, and I presume the winning team will go on to challenge the champions, the Acclaimed, at the Full Gear pay-per-view, which is coming up in about a month now. We also had a backstage segment with Jay Lethal and Darby Allin. They had a rematch set up. You had Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt talking about how they know Darby's weakness. And then a 2-on-1 fight broke out. Darby tried to fight them off, but he was overwhelmed. And they put him under the arena door. They had the door closed down, the garage door. It came down on Darby, and then Lethal put on the figure 4 as the garage door was crushing the ribs of Darby Allin. And they needed officials there to break things up. All right, so next up was quite the segment for sure. Tony Schiavone was with William Regal. And all of a sudden, we had MJF appear. He interrupted Regal before Regal could really even speak. Regal had his brass knucks and was ready to fight, but MJF said that he was only there to talk. So MJF brought up how when he was 19 years old, he had worked with WWE as an extra. And they were also doing tryouts. There were several people that were watching the tryouts, evaluating people. William Regal was one of those guys, apparently. And then Regal met with MJF backstage. And Regal was very impressed with MJF. But apparently, Regal asked MJF how old he was. And when MJF said 19, Regal said he was too young. Regal told MJF to keep sending promos and matches. And that's what MJF did. But then I guess after 3 months, Regal sent MJF an email basically rejecting him. MJF said he was very upset about this. He said that this is real life to him. Pro wrestling is his life. MJF said he wanted to quit wrestling because of Regal's email. And not only that, MJF said he wanted to kill himself. Regal was kind of laughing at MJF at this point, and MJF continued to speak his heart out. He said that William Regal is nothing more than a sad old man that got fired from that place, WWE, and now it's MJF's company. Regal, according to MJF, snuck into the company and sucked up to wrestlers better than he ever was. And MJF said he's about to become the world champion because he's better than William Regal, and Regal knows it. Crowd gave MJF a standing ovation. You could check out video clips and a transcript over at NoDQ.com, by the way. William Regal did respond. He got booed. And he said that if the email is what got MJF to AEW, then MJF had it easy. Regal said that he would talk trash to Tony Schiavone, but would never, ever put his hands on Schiavone. And that's something that MJF did. He actually put his hands on Schiavone, and Regal was not cool with that. Regal said that MJF has been taking shortcuts, hires people to do his dirty work. Regal said that if MJF wants to be the devil, prove it. Regal turned his back to MJF, basically daring MJF to lay him out. MJF grabbed the Dynamite diamond ring and was acting like he was going to do it, but then did not hit him. Regal turned around, said that MJF still has a lot to learn. And that was the end of the segment. I cannot do it justice with my description. You guys definitely check out the videos and just enjoy it, because it was something else. MJF once again cutting one of the best promos of the year, and Regal certainly one of the best, held his own. Fantastic segment here. And Joey made a great point. Crowd was booing Regal when it was Regal's turn to talk, but then by the end, they were cheering him. Just great work by both guys. Love this segment. Dr. Dakota Scorpio with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, hope Hangman is okay, and MJF Regal promo was great. I agree with you on both, and we will talk about Hangman Adam Page here in just a few moments. A lot of people right now discussing that. Very eventful show, like I said at the beginning, a lot to discuss. Renee Paquette spoke to the Acclaimed backstage, and I guess on Rampage, there will be a title match, and the trademarks will also be on the line. So if the Acclaimed retain their titles, I guess they get the Scissor Me Daddy trademark back. And then we also had Renee Paquette in a sit-down interview with Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. Bryan was, of course, upset that Garcia betrayed him, said that he had high hopes for Garcia and felt that Garcia could have been the best wrestler ever. Wheeler Yuta was not too happy with Bryan because he felt like Bryan was being used all along, and Bryan was the only person that did not see it coming, and maybe Yuta was upset that Bryan was praising Garcia so much instead of him. Yuta's part of Bryan's group. So I liked this. I like that they're teasing the dissension now between Bryan and Wheeler Yuta. This was good. I liked this. And then we had the Ring of Honor championship match. Chris Jericho defending his title against Dalton Castle. I've only seen him wrestle like one or two times, but he's quite flamboyant, and I like his entrance music. He's got like a knockoff version of Queen's Radio Gaga. Classic entrance here, and he had like 10 guys with him. I guess they're called the Boys. A bunch of guys with dancing around, and they got feathers. They're just very excited, and it's all the pomp and circumstance. Chris Jericho came out there with Jake Hager. Castle pulled out a middle finger. He reached into his pants and pulled out a middle finger at Jericho when they were supposed to do the Code of Honor. Castle got in a lot of offense, and you had the boys, the 10 or so guys out there that were taking care of Jake Hager. And at one point, Castle was throwing these boys over the top rope onto Hager. Hager tried to attack Castle, but then the boys went after Hager. They took his hat, and I guess that just pissed off Hager. He snapped. He started beating the crap out of the guys. We did have a match. It went back into the ring. They were fighting on the outside for a while. And Castle almost beat Jericho on numerous occasions, got several near falls. Eventually, Jericho got the win with the Judas effect. And then afterwards, Jericho cut a promo with the Jericho Appreciation Society. And he said that they're going to take out everybody from Ring of Honor, including the announcers and the commentators. And Jericho grabbed the commentator. I still don't know his name. And he was going to hit him with the championship. But then Jerry Lynn stepped in, to save this poor guy. And then Jericho took out Jerry Lynn, gave him a tombstone pile driver on the Ring of Honor Championship. So nice little angle here. Dalton Castle had a good showing. This was entertaining. Jericho still doing great stuff, and he just signed a contract extension with AEW. He's going to be around for the long haul. He's going to be working behind the scenes as a producer, helping with the young talent. Good for him. Jericho has been doing very well in AEW, and I suspect he'll continue to do well. We had a little backstage segment with Jade Cargill. The baddies were supposed to get the TBS championship that was stolen by Nyla Rose, but they were unsuccessful. Jade said she's going to show up on Rampage, and if Nyla Rose doesn't give the title back, she will hijack the entire hour of Rampage. Interesting. I'm mildly curious to see how that plays out, but I'm guessing Jade will get her title back. We then had our main event of the evening, which was looking like it was going to be given a lot of time. This match was starting right around 9:30. Moxley defending his title against Hangman Adam Page. Moxley was doing his entrance, and Page decided to not wait. He went to the outside through the crowd, attacked Moxley. We had the fight start right in the stands. You had Paige climbing up to the top of one of those entryways to the arena, one of those platforms. Paige did a moonsault off the top of the platform all the way down onto Moxley. Moxley got busted open. Paige was targeting the wound. Crowd was booing Adam Page at this point. Continued to control the match for a while, but then Moxley hit a cutter out of nowhere and was back in it. MJF was shown in the luxury box, but then there was another shot and MJF had disappeared. Page hit Moxley with a dead eye on the apron, and then after the commercial break, Page hit an avalanche fall-away slam. Moxley kicked out of it, and then Moxley recovered. He nailed Adam Page with a lariat, and this is where things went south. I looked back on the clip. Looks like Page got knocked out instantly. He just got wiped out with this lariat and landed right on his head. Did not look good at all. And you had the doctor coming into the ring, Doc Sampson. They were checking on him for about a minute, and then the bell rang. The referee said the match was stopped. Jon Moxley still your AEW champion, and you had several awkward moments. Once it was clear that Adam Page was really hurt and this wasn't part of the show, they cut to the announcers, and they were trying to stay with the storyline, but then Taz made a comment about how there was a gurney. We did not see the gurney on television, but Taz did bring it up. And there was, in fact, a stretcher brought down, and they actually had to loosen the ring rope so they could get Page out of the ring. And you had the announcers showing the graphics, talking about the matches coming up for Rampage and next week's Dynamite. And eventually, like 3 or 4 minutes later, once they were able to get Page out of the ring, Jon Moxley got on the microphone. He wished Page well, gave him his thoughts and prayers, and then got back into the storyline. Talked about MJF, said that MJF has been talking a lot of shit, so he was calling out MJF. MJF made his entrance. He had the casino chip to cash in for a world title match. He had a referee, so it looked like MJF was going to cash in right there on Jon Moxley. However, he did not do it. And he got on the mic. He brought up what William Regal said earlier, how MJF just takes shortcuts. And MJF said he's not going to take a shortcut. He wants Jon Moxley at 100%. So the match is now official. AEW Full Gear. Main event. Jon Moxley will defend the World Championship against MJF, as we suspected would be the main event. And MJF said for the first time in his miserable life, he is going to earn it. Then we had Moxley responding, and Moxley's mic was giving him problems. And he said that MJF is going to earn numerous things, numerous beatings and punishment to various body parts. And then we had the end of the show. It wrapped up at this point. Overall, very entertaining show. Now, the situation with Adam Page, I'm not doing a letter grade this week because of the injury, but it was a very good Dynamite up until the end. Obviously, with the Adam Page situation, very much a downer to an otherwise really strong episode of AEW Dynamite. And hopefully he's okay. I mean, it didn't look good. He looked like he may have suffered a concussion. So best wishes to Adam Page. Just that's wrestling. Things happen. People get hurt. Very unfortunate. And yeah, kind of ended the show on a sour note. But yeah, we do have our Full Gear main event set, and I presume they would have wrestled for a few more moments, and then MJF would have come out. They would have done that angle at the end, and maybe they would have shortened it a little bit. It seemed like they were trying to stretch it out as much as possible to get to the end of the hour. But all in all, strong Dynamite, and yeah, the MJF stuff was really well done. The promo with Regal, and then yeah, the setup for Full Gear makes a lot of sense. MJF is going to go up against Moxley at 100% and actually earn the championship. I like it. Strong stuff here. So that's it for the Tuesday night edition of Dynamite. Unfortunately, overshadowed by the Adam Page injury. And perhaps on the No DQ review this week, we'll talk more about it and maybe talk about NXT. We had a lot of people showing up from Raw and SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura showed up on NXT. And yeah, they really loaded the show this week, knowing that they had the sports competition and the AEW competition. My guess is AEW will win the viewership this week. I put on Twitter, I think AEW will be down from their recent 1 million viewers in that range, probably around 800 to 850,000. And I expect NXT to drop a bit from what they've been doing. They've been doing around 650 to 700,000. So they'll probably be down to 600,000, maybe a little less. But I do think AEW will get the win here. The renewed for 1 week only AEW versus NXT head-to-head battle. And we do have Halloween Havoc this Saturday, and I will be doing live results coverage on NoDQ.com. So make sure you check that out. And then, like I said, No DQ review Thursday night, back in its normal time slot. And then, of course, we got SmackDown on Friday. Stay tuned for all that. If you liked the video, please give it a like, spread the word, and remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. And I will see you all next time.